Into the night, the city lights are dancing, slowly falling apart. The shadows causing an outbreak. I'm wishing upon a star. This time I'm feeling stronger, and I know I can do better. The shadows causing an outbreak. I'm turning the light. We're gonna light it up, oh, light it up, ooh, light it up, causing an outbreak. I'm turning the light. We're gonna light it up, oh, light it up, ooh,
Hello, everyone, and welcome in to the RFDL Season 1 podcast for the rules and formats. Today, I am joined by Airlax and Firestreak, who will be joining me as your official RFDL admins for the season. Welcome in, guys. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. Extremely excited for Season 1 to be starting.
Season 1's going to be great, guys. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm extremely excited on how this is gonna go. We have a lot to talk about today. There's gonna be a lot of changes from the previous season. As you guys all know, we've said multiple times that was a test season to try and get all of our rules situated, see what kind of cases we came up against in that season that didn't necessarily work correctly, and see what can work better for this one. Before we get into that, though, I do want to talk a little bit about last season, as we did have our playoffs, but nobody really got to see the accolades that ended off from that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick, guys, and I'll go over to it right now. As you can see, the final playoff standings, for those who were not here, did not remember, iFursuits did end up winning that one against Kitten Corp in that top... that first grand final. No bracket reset needed once again. But let's take away from this playoff standings. Let's look at the accolades, because there were a lot that kind of excited me there. You can see Airlax at the top for MVP percentage. That does make sense, as he only played one match, and I believe he was MVP in every single one of those. We've got a really large spread of accolades coming out. You can see Ave on here a couple of times for that 2v1 that he played against Gentle Paws. Top in saves per game, which is actually, it makes sense when you think about how many shots were on that net that he did have to end up getting in front of. And I mean, you can see a lot of the iFursuits people up top, score per game, goals per game, both going to Corrupt. We got some Fox Clan members in here, and Taka and Yuki. I don't know how they showed up, but I didn't, but, you know, we won't talk about that. And obviously we have Kitten Corp in here. We've basically got every single team, I think, that played in the playoffs, which is always nice to see. Firestreak, how do you feel your team did in playoffs?
I feel pretty good about how we did. We, came out above our projected seeding based off of the season standings, and I'm really happy with it. Even the series that we did lose, we still were taken into Game 6 or Game 5, depending on what part of the bracket it was on. I was really happy with how Static did, as you can see him showing up like many times on there, especially getting more on the offensive side of the ball. So yeah, super proud of our guys.
Gotta say, I'm very excited to see what all the players from Season 1 are going to pull back into for next season. And I did see demo statistics being asked about in chat. Don't worry, we'll get to that. Don't you worry about that at all. But guys, it's time to start talking a little bit about Season 1, because as you guys saw, if you were here at the end of playoffs a couple of weeks ago, it was a huge announcement. We got 2 regions planned, we got a world championship planned, and we just want to share a lot of the rule changes and how the format is going to work exactly for you guys, get everybody up to speed on how that's going to work. And I mean, I think the best way to start with that is probably to start talking about who can actually play in the league with player eligibility. And honestly, guys, it's going to be really simple. For player eligibility, you only have to meet a couple of requirements. One, you have to be a part of the Aerial RL Furs Discord server, which I think everybody here is a part of that server, everybody in the chat. If not, if you're a furry and you want to hang out and try and play in this league, get a Discord link from one of the people in chat. I'm sure that they'd be able to send you it. Also, along with being a part of the Discord server, you have to be diamond or higher in any standard playlist. That counts 1s, 2s, or 3s. We are going to be counting extra modes when we start looking at your stats. and start looking at what rank you are going to be in the league, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. But for now, we want to make sure that at least on 1s, 2s, or 3s, you are at least Diamond 1 or higher. The last thing that you need to be doing is, technically this is something that you should not be doing, or else you will not be eligible. You cannot be using an alt account specifically to make your rank seem lower than it actually is, which we will talk about a little bit later. And you cannot be on the banned player list, which we only have one person on the banned player list, and I can guarantee you that it is nobody in this chat as of right now. So if you're here, you're good to go. You can join the league. Also, if we do find that you are intentionally deranking, going into ranked games and just forfeiting, not playing, stuff like that to consistently lose rank, if we find out that you're a part of that, if you're already a part of the league, you will be banned, and if you are not, well, then you can't play. That's just how it is. But make sure you guys know what ranks you are, and do not try to fool us, because we will have many ways to figure out who you guys are this year. We have a whole team that is tasked with that specific job, unlike me and Ave doing it by ourselves last season. And I guess from there, I guess you're all wondering, when are signups gonna happen? And don't worry about these other guys. They'll be talking here very soon, but I'm just taking the start of this so we can get all of the important information out of the way. But when are you guys able to sign up? That's the real question. And I'm sure Arilax and Firestreak, I'm sure that you guys are ready to be signing up for this league once again, playing as managers or players as well. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely. I am very excited to be a part of it again.
Absolutely. I'm excited to manage again, excited to help out with the league. It's going to be great.
Well, guys, I have some really good news for you. It's not going to be that long. Sign-ups for players specifically are going to start up on November 20th. So I believe that's 17 days from now, about a week and a half, until you guys will be able to sign up for NA or EU. And not too long of a wait. We thought that we were gonna wait a little bit longer, but I want to get this started as soon as possible, guys. So I know everybody else is so excited to get back into playing in some league action, and I just want to start casting these games as soon as possible. So we're gonna get this going pretty quick. So we do have some rules about player signups, guys. And we say player signups specifically because we are doing this in a bit of a tiered system this time. We're going to start with player signups first. Player signups are going to be just the signups that you are going to do if you want to play on a team. Not necessarily to manage a team, but if you want to play on a team, we are going to allow you to sign up first. That way we can kind of see how many players we're going to have for each region, because we are, as we said, doing two separate regions this season. We're doing an NA region and an EU region, which leads us on to our first rule for this in the official rule book and in this talk. When it comes to regions, guys, I know that there are a lot of you that are from EU that might want to play from NA, and maybe there's a couple of you that want to play EU from NA, and as I said, opposite, players from EU who want to play on NA and NA players that want to play on EU. I'm getting my words jumbled up. The rule is, if you can play your games on the region that you are located in, you have to sign up for that region. Obviously, there are going to be some exceptions. If you need to talk to one of the admins about that, if there are like very specific cases that cause you not to be able to play in the region you're in, then you can sign up for the other region with an official's approval. Now, this would have to be something like you cannot possibly make it to your scheduled times for live games and you're not able to reschedule, because as we did last year, we will be able to reschedule games. It'll be a little bit different this year, but there's still always the opportunity to not have to play that game live. However, if there is a case where you literally cannot reschedule games and you cannot make it to your live days, contact the officials when sign-up starts, tell them your case, and then the officials will decide if that case is good enough to allow us to let you sign up for another region. Ping is not going to be a factor that we consider in that. If your reason for playing on NA is something like, oh, there are better players on NA, we're not accepting that. If your reason is, I get like 60 ping, 70 ping on EU servers, that's not really a valid reason as well. I could understand if it was going to like 100 to 120 and it made your servers unplayable. But at that point, then I would be wondering, how are you playing NA servers with less ping? Because that would just kind of throw me out of the loop. But that is the rule. So once again, if you are in EU, please sign up for EU, because we want to make sure that the pool in EU is very deep and has a lot of players of different skill ranks in there. We don't want all of the EU players signing up for NA, and we don't want the NA players signing up for EU as much as possible. Up next, because we're done talking about that. Oh, I mean, I guess I should also say, because it's also a thing on here, if we do allow you to sign up for another region, based off of the server rules for this season, you are going to have to accept that you are going to be put in a spot where you are unlikely to be picked by a team, because the servers this season are going to be a lot more unforgiving for signing up for opposite regions, and you will always be playing on that ping disadvantage. So that is something that you will need to consider if you do want to sign up, but you need to sign up for an opposite region. Just remember that there's not 100% guarantee on you getting picked, and that might be a reason going forward. What we're going to be doing for signups is we are going to only be allowing, because we need to split it between two regions and we want to make sure a lot of players sign up, for the first wave of signups, which is going to be these player signups, we're only going to be allowing 30 players per signup. Once we get 30 players in a region, we're going to stop accepting signups for that region, and we're going to see if the other region starts populating a little bit more. 30 is going to be enough for the full 18s that we need, plus a little bit more. So once again, as I said before, if you sign up, just know that you are not guaranteed to be picked. However, there is a good possibility that you will be picked, because at max we'd have 24 players, so there would only be 6 left out. And if you don't get picked, you'll be made a free agent, which we'll talk about a bit later. As for what you guys need to be able to sign up as players, there's a couple of things that you're going to need to have ready when the signups go live to make your process and our process for signing you up a lot smoother. For one, you need to have a picture of your persona or your OC character, whatever that may be, that you can submit, and these are going to be things that you are required to submit on the submission sheet. It will not let you turn in your sign up without putting these things on there, so make sure that you have that available. Something else that you're going to need is a picture of either your funniest Rocket League car preset, like something wacky that you just came up with out of nowhere, or your favorite preset. Hopefully we're not going to be seeing a lot of Mina Phoenix or something like that, but I hope to see something really creative for you guys. Hopefully that gives us a bit of a look into your character, what kind of player you might be. I know that Rex, if he were to submit an application, he'd immediately go with a Scarab, so maybe we see some interesting cars coming out. And Maroon Heart in the chat saying they need all of this written down somewhere. In the Discord server, in the RFDL section, there is a rule book. And that rule book is now updated to season 1. So you will be able to see all of that stuff if you browse that. You just need to go into the RFDL or the Aerial RL server and go into the RFDL section and go to the rules page, and you should be able to find that right there. As for next, let me make sure everything was working here. And so we said that you need your Persona/OC picture. You need a picture of your card preset. I've told you guys, if you sign up, you're not necessarily guaranteed to get a spot off of the draft, but it is a good possibility. And at this point, I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about the process that we're going to go through for rank checking. As you guys remember, last season, we had a lot of issues with the ranks in the league. They weren't necessarily the best standard. The way that we did it was very crude, and it allowed for a lot of gaps to be shown, and where a lot of higher ranked players were placed at a much lower level than they actually should be. And so I'm going to let Firestreak talk to you guys a little bit now about what our rank checking process is going to be for everybody that signs up for this league, just so you guys know that we're going to be a lot more accurate this time. Firestreak?
Thank you, Faden. Yeah, we are going to be putting in a lot of work just to make sure everyone is properly ranked within the league. And in order to do that, naturally, I can't go into too much detail because I don't want to give people the tools that they would need to try to dodge the rank system or anything like that. But we, first of all, instead of just being like a team of 1 or 2 people, we have a team of 5 people that are going to be looking into everyone's ranks, and we are going to be using very many different sources to determine somebody's rank. That can include things like watching replays of a player and looking at their kind of how they're moving around the field and all that. But we are going to not only be using RL Tracker like what was done last season, but we're going to use people's information that we can find through various sources, both within the Discord, out of the Discord, and through lots of different things. So last year, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only thing that was checked last season was people's end of season ranks. So one thing that we are going to be doing this season is checking on the graphs on RL Tracker to see where people are, where people have been mid-season. So that should not slip through the cracks, and it's going to be zero lenience if, let's say, you peaked into GC1 from Champ 3 for 1 day, and that is listed on RL Tracker, you will be listed as a GC1. So that way, we will be airing, if we make a mistake, it's going to be somebody is listed higher than what they should be rather than lower, which is what we saw quite a bit last season. So it's going to be very strict, and we're going to get it right. That way we don't have any players or teams that are much better than what they are listed as. But before we even worry about that, we need to know how these players are going to be getting onto the teams, and that's going to move into manager signups, which is kind of the next step after player signups. So they will begin on at either 1 or 2 times, right? So both EU and NA. The first thing that's going to need to happen is EU and NA are both going to need to reach at least 16 players, with the max being 30, as listed earlier. The date for managers to sign up for the league is December 20th. So it's going to be exactly 1 month after when the player signups are happening. So hopefully we can get there. We'll see. But if so, yeah, the latest it'll be is December 20th. So if there is a case where not enough players are signed up for a region, Manager signups might be less naturally just to reflect the number of players within that region. So we'll adjust it so that way it's fair for everyone and to try to get everyone a good chance to play and for there to be enough managers for each region.
If I can, real quick, Firestreak.
Yes.
I just want to say, so if people, so as Firestreak was saying, that manager signups will begin one of two different times. So the first stipulation, as he said, is if we reach 16 players at least in EU and NA, and if we do that, we might start manager signups earlier. The latest that they will start is going to be December 20th, and that's only if we don't have at least 16 players in each region. If we do get to that 16-team threshold, then we'll probably start manager signups like the day after we reach that threshold. So it could be a lot earlier than December 20th, but December 20th is the cutoff date for the start of it.
Perfect, and thank you, Fades,
for
clearing that up. But yeah, if the next thing after that would be if there's like an influx of managers for one region and a shortage of managers for the other region, managers that do not wish to play maybe end up with a team on the opposite region. So as an example, let's say we have 12 managers from NA and 4 of them don't want to actually play on a team, while we only have 4 managers signed up for EU. Those 4 managers that are signed up for NA but do not wish to play may be moved over to manage for the EU region. So we'll work that out and we'll make sure that everyone gets taken care of. Thank you, Faith, for answering that in chat. But yeah, responsibilities of managers is nothing too crazy, honestly, but it is something that is definitely important just to keep things running smoothly on the league's end. So all managers are going to need to be able to maintain a good line of communication with both their own team, managers of other teams, and league officials. So this includes, in the case that a team needs a sub or a reschedule, that must be communicated with league officials and the manager of the other team a minimum of 24 hours before their match that week. So, yeah, essentially, if you need something like a sub, make sure you are communicating that with all parties involved. That way we can make sure that everyone is prepared and everyone is in the loop in terms of what's going on with the league. Rescheduling games has their own set of rules, which I believe will be talked about a little bit later, but just making sure that's being communicated well in advance is going to be huge this season. That way we're not scrambling last second to try to accommodate things that could have been communicated in advance. So one other change from last season in terms of managers is manager interviews are going to be conducted by admin before a final is before the final decision is made in terms of letting somebody manage a team or not. So just to make sure that the managers are capable and are going to be able to properly hold up the responsibilities of the manager, those interviews will take place just to make sure things are running a bit smoother this season than they were last season. So the final stipulation in terms of signing up as a manager is if you were found to not be able to keep up with managing a team in a previous season, you will not be allowed to sign up as a manager for this season. So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. If you couldn't do it before, naturally, we can't confirm that you are able to do it now, so it's just best if somebody else is able to fill that slot as a manager, and maybe you're able to just still be a normal player within the league. That is a whole nother conversation, Vezix, so we will be getting into that sort of stuff later. But if you aren't a player or a manager, there is also a third option in how you can still participate in the league, and that is as a free agent, which I believe Airlax has the inside scoop on. So, Airlax, do you have anything to say about that?
Indeed I do, thank you. So, free agents, as you guys probably saw from last season, free agents are players who aren't on any specific team, but can be dragged in for a team, either for a single match or to replace a specific player on that. So the signups for free agents will be after the manager signups, which will either be once the max amount of managers have been approved, or there is also a hard cutoff of January 5th as well. So after that, free agent signups will begin, and one thing to take note, since we have 2 regions going on this season, free agents will not be separated by region, but free agents will be asked during signups which regions they're willing to sub in for. So for example, if you are from NA, you can sign up to be only an NA free agent, or you could also choose to be available to be put on an EU team as well. Of course, you have to keep in mind that if you're playing from NA on EU, you are going to have to deal with the ping as well. But let's see, we'll also be looking for a player of each major rank, which is Diamond, Champ, GC, from both regions, who would be willing to be a last second sub. And these players would, basically their requirement would be to always be in the Twitch chat during live games, so that they can be subbed in if like something last minute happens, say a player's PC crashes and they're not able to get it back online, then we would have someone there who would be able to be dragged in so that the match can still be played. And free agents willing to sub in for a match for a region they are not a part of need to be aware that they will be playing on server disadvantage as well. I just want to especially make sure of that. And one big thing to also note is that there will be a limit to 20 total free agents for signups. I believe that is across both regions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, it is. Alright. But that is all the signups information.
Yeah.
Now, shall we go on to something new?
Yeah, and just before we do that, I do just want to reiterate about the last second subs. Basically, we would be, I think Airlax said this, but we will be looking specifically for one player of each rank from each region. So we're going to be looking for a Diamond player from NA, a Diamond player from EU, a Champ player from NA and EU, and a GC player from NA or EU who are willing to sit in during these live streams and just be ready. That way, no matter what happens, no matter which player disconnects from a team, we can always almost guarantee that there's going to be someone sitting in the chat who is at least, if not a little bit lower in rank, around the same type of skill level as the players that are disconnecting. So one, a team won't go over budget by grabbing a sub, which wouldn't be allowed in the first place, or also being forced to pick up a sub of much less quality, like we had last season, I believe, when I wouldn't say much less quality, quote unquote, but say like if a GC cannot get to their game and they have to pick up a champ player like a champ 1, that's not really a great trade-off for that team. So we just want to make sure that we have enough people here in the Twitch chat who will be free agents and willing to play on that last second notice. Of course, this is always an optional thing, and you do not have to accept that during the signups. We will ask if you're willing to do that, and there is a no option because we know that you guys also have a lot of responsibilities of your own. You guys have jobs and everything, and we can't expect you to be here all the time. But that, as we said, that is it for signups. And with 30 players a region, 8 managers a region, and 20 free agents, that's a lot of players. That's 96, I believe. So just under 100. So the rank checking team is going to have a lot of work to do in the coming months as we see more and more players sign up. And I hope we do get to that. I hope we do get to that max, because that would just be so good for the league. We might be able to expand out more if that ends up happening, to make these leagues even bigger, and allow even more ranks to join in as well next season. So if you guys want to see more of this league content, if you want to be able to help us expand this into something even greater, tell all your friends that are in the server about this league, that meet the eligibility requirements. Have them sign up for whatever region they're a part of. Just, it's a fun experience to be had, and it's going to be a lot closer of a season than last season was, for sure. But we are done talking about signups, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about something a little bit fun for you guys. We're gonna talk about card designs, player card designs in particular. As you guys remember, last season we had a few different player cards that everybody would have, but they were all kind of the same, and they were all kind of similar into where it only showed your rank, it showed your stats, it didn't really have a lot of variety to them. Well, having Fire Streak and a couple of others here with me this season has allowed us to expand on that, and we'd like to show you guys all of the new card designs that we're going to have for this season, along with a couple of the new teams. So if you'd indulge us for a second, we're going to go ahead and pull up a potential matchup for next season. Now, just remember, guys, that these teams might not be within the budget, obviously. These are just placeholders, but we wanted to show you guys some of the new teams and the new cards. And guys, are you guys ready to show these guys some of the new teams?
Let's do it.
I'm
hyped.
Well, let's start. Oh, yeah. What's Fire Streak?
We've been hard at work, and we have, I believe it's over a dozen at this point, new teams for you guys to choose from for pre-made teams. So we're really excited to show those off to you guys. So take it away, Fades.
And you know what? Yugi just said something in chat that just clicked in my head, and I did not think about them wanting to pick that squad, but obviously I know what squad they want to pick now when they sign up for a manager.
That's gonna be great.
But let's start with our first one. This one will be... this matchup would be a mouthful if it ever happened, guys, but we're going to start with Awoptic Gaming. And so here you go, guys. Here is Awoptic Gaming in all its glory. We've got Factual Data, we've got Daki, and we've got Firestreak here. And you can see some of the new player card designs done by Firestreak himself. Definitely add a little bit more personality to the... to your player card in particular. And Aeroax, you can see a little bit of an extra stat here. Would you mind talking about that?
Indeed, I would. I know especially Vez and Rex are going to be very excited about this, but there has been some work done on the master sheet. A bit was tested last season with automating it, but this season, especially with accolades in particular, we are adding a tracker for demos.
Yeah, that's right, guys. All you demo chasers out there, rejoice. Try to get to the top of those standings, because we will be tracking demos per game. It's going to be a great addition. I think it actually does help out a lot. It really does show how aggressive of a play style one team might have if they're really high on demos. I think it's a stat that it has been hard to track before, but we are going to find some ways to do that this season, and I'm very excited for it. And Firestreak, what do you think about the cards so far? I know you made them, but they really do look good.
I'm really happy with how a lot of them turned out. So, with me making 5 of them, 2 of them, which you guys saw right over there, and Daki also making the player card for themselves there. We're really happy with how they turned out. And one thing to note is the one somewhat stipulation, I guess, is that each team will have the same player cards as is selected by the manager. So managers will select the player cards that they want for their team during the manager sign-up. But we're really happy and we're really excited to be able to give people a little bit more personality with their player cards and let them have a bit more customization with them. So, yeah.
And we still have a couple more player cards to show off here, along with another team. So let's go ahead and do that. Guys, this is our next team. And as I said, this matchup would be a mouthful, but please put a hand together for your next new team, Ground Zero. And I love saying that so much. And I love the logo for it. It looks so great. And you can see some of the player cards here as well, along with Aerolax's true form, as you can see on the right there. He is not actually Protogen. He's just a bunch of RAM, and he gets many shot a game.
How did you know?
I mean, just want to point out here, Aerolax getting yes goals per game, max demos per game, and an average score of 9,999.
Yeah, man's
Absolutely goated player.
That scans it.
And I will give you guys a little bit of a heads up here. I see some hashtags showing up in the chat, and Firestreak and Daki, who have been making the decals for all of these new rosters, because those were just 2 of them. We're going to show you all the other ones real soon. But these guys have been doing some very creative work, and they have actually put team hashtags on the spoilers of the Octane in every single team that they've created so far. And they're very creative. I love what they've been doing with them, and it's just as good of work as it has been for the teams in general and everything else they've been doing. They've just been doing a really good job. So shout out to Firestreak and Daki in particular, as they have been grinding the last couple of weeks to get all these teams out. And in total, we're going to have 21 pre-made teams for people to choose from this season, compared to the 8 to 9 that we had last season. So you guys put a hand together for Firestreak and Daki, because they have been busting their asses to do this. But we'll go ahead, and we showed you all the player cards. As we said, managers will be able to select the player cards they want their team to use for the duration of league play. Which gives you a little bit more of an incentive to sign up as a manager. If you want to manage a specific team, you'll be able to pick that, and as long as it hasn't been picked by somebody else beforehand, you will get that team. There is also a secondary option you'll be able to choose from, and if both of those are picked, we will collaborate with the managers on what team they might want for their third pick. But the pre-made teams aren't it, guys, but we are going to show those off. And after we show those off, we will talk a little bit about custom teams, because managers, as we just said, they're going to get a choice. They can either play with one of the pre-made teams that we just made, or they can play with a custom team of their own making. But before we talk about the custom teams, we want to go ahead and show you guys the teams that Firestreak and Daki have spent so much time perfecting over the last couple of weeks. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and show these guys the new teams. And there you guys have it. Those are the new teams. You did see a couple of names that we actually did have in reserve from last time that we didn't use in the last season, but Firestreak and Daki have made decals for them. And all of them look so good, guys. I don't know which one I'm excited to see on the pitch more, honestly.
I mean, based off of what Yuki is saying in chat, I think we have a good idea of which one they're going to be choosing for the upcoming season. But yeah, we have quite a few really fun teams, some fun hashtags, and some pretty solid-looking decals, in my opinion, though I may be biased. So
Maybe a little
yeah.
bit.
I also have a feeling that Airlax is going to be a pretty big fan of Protogen Rebellion, but
I have
that
no
might
idea
just
what
be a
you're talking
hunch.
about.
But yeah, Airlax,
Definitely
what
not
do you
biased.
think of these teams?
No, I think these came out just absolutely stellar, and it is so crazy to think just like we've already come so far from season 0, and the production has already gone up so much, and I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, and I'll also point your guys' attention to, if you were here right before we started talking and everything, you saw that nice little overlay that isn't completely filled out, but don't you worry, logos will be on there, game scores will be on there. We'll be updating those every day as matches are played. That way, if you get in right during an intermission, you'll be able to see what's already happened, what's coming up. I think it's a heavy addition to the stream, and as Airlax just said, we're so far away from what we already had previously in Season 0 already, and it's only been 2 weeks, so give us some time, and we're going to be cooking up some really good stuff for you guys, but we're not the only ones that are allowed to cook. This season, you guys are allowed to cook as well, because managers signing up can make custom teams, and I want to talk a little bit about that, as that is a big thing that I've heard requests from many players for. Now, we do have a lot of pre-made teams now for you guys to choose from, all of them based off of different esports organizations that you may know or love, and I think that there's so many that we might not even see that many custom teams, but for those who do want to make a custom team, there are some things that you need to know before you sign up. First off, only managers are going to be able to make custom teams. Obviously, that would be the team that they manage. They need to have some items ready when they sign up to be able to make these teams a reality for us. First off, you're going to need a team name. It's going to need to adhere to the server rules as well as Twitch TOS. So not anything that's like, you know, too... I know we're furries, but, you know, keep it tame, guys. Keep it pretty tame. We can't be having some weird, outlandish names here. We also want to say that names need to be able to be pronounced by us, because if we can't pronounce your name on stream, I mean, what good is your team going to unite, you know? You're not going to be a fan of us mispronouncing your name every time you come on. So please, please, please give us some names that we can pronounce on the casting desk. The second thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a team logo. I'm not talking just a rough sketch. I'm not talking, you know, something poorly done. We need like a actual fully done out logo like Firestreak or Daki have just showcased on here with some of the logos that they have done. Whether you want to get that from a third party or do it yourself, that is up to you. But the guys on my team already have a lot of work to do, and we can't really go around making logos for everybody that wants a custom team. So by sign up, you need to have a custom logo ready. It needs to be a transparent PNG. And we would like it to be sized at a decently big size. I would say 2000 by 2000 pixels, just to make sure that it shows up good on all of the media that we are going to put it on. Obviously, all of these teams are going to be put into the RLCS hype chamber that we have been using for the last season. So you guys are going to get to see your car spin around. You're going to get to see your logos up on the screen before every match. We just want to make sure that they look as clean as possible for you guys. The other thing you are going to be required to have is a base color scheme for your team. This is just a primary and secondary color that you'll choose from the Rocket League menu. So like, say like row 4, column 8 or something. That would be your like primary, and you can pick your secondary. And that just helps us figure out the color scheme for your team going into the matches, as we are doing the same thing as last season where we will have the team colors in every match. So we are going to need that. It is a requirement for you to have a color scheme ready by the time you sign up. One thing that you do not need as a requirement, but we would love for you to have, is like Firestreak and Docky have been making, everybody has a custom Octane decal for the pre-made teams. We would love if you were able to submit one decal made on the Octane for us to use in the hype chamber. If you do not have a decal, we will just use the color scheme that you give us as your car's colors for the league, unless you give us a decal at a later date. But it would really be nice if you guys had it before the league started, and that way, during your first match, you can see your decal up on the big screen right before you guys play your first game. But as we said, that is an optional thing. And I think that's all there is to do with teams. So we're going to move on back to Firestreak a little bit. And Firestreak is going to tell you guys what the process is after we have all of our players and managers sign up. What happens after that? So Firestreak, go ahead.
So naturally, after we know who our players and our managers are, we need to give the players that are potentially going to be drafted a chance to show their stuff. So we're going to have a combine stream, which is going to take place within 2 weeks of the players or the manager signups concluding, to let the players show what they can do. So these streams will be separated by region, just to make sure that players are able to compete on the correct servers, compared to what they will be playing in during the season. So have both a NA combine stream and a EU combine stream. So,
Taka, first off, thank you very much for gifting 10 subs to the community. Very much appreciated. That Javian, that's your teammate. That's my teammate right there, buddy. I've had him there for the last couple of months. And that actually gives me a perfect segue into something that I was supposed to announce here. As Firestreak was saying that the streams are going to be separated by NA and EU. And I do want to let everybody know that NA and EU times are going to differ, because a lot of what we got from feedback for last season was the EU players were coming in and saying, Fade, the only problem we have with this, or like there were problems with the league, but the biggest problem was that we were playing at 5 p.m. Eastern time, which is like 11 to midnight to even 1 a.m. to some of the people in the Europe region, which is too late to be playing Rocket League. They'd like to have it at an earlier time, so they would be able to, play a little bit more fresh in the mind, not super tired. And we are accommodating that. So for NA streams, and this is going to be every NA stream going forward, NA streams are going to be taking place on Saturday. Saturday will be NA, Sunday will be EU. NA will be taking place at the normal time, 5 p.m. EST, as that's a really good time for the NA players, as it's early in the afternoon. It's great for the West players because it's not really too early to be getting up and playing Rocket League, and they can at least warm up for a little bit before they play their match. For EU, we are going to be starting at 1 p.m. EST, which is going to be, if you convert that to UTC, I believe that's 4 hours ahead, which would be 5 p.m. UTC. You can convert that to 24 hours if you want, but once again, that's going to allow for EU to have much more consistent times to play and not be tired, especially when we have 4 matches to do throughout a night. And the later matches are going to have to be played at some of those later times, but we hope that starting at this earlier time is going to allow you guys to still be able to play without being so drowsy and tired, and be able to play at your peak efficiency, and put on some good Rocket League. So, hopefully that helps out for you guys. Those are going to be the official times for the Combine streams and League play going forward. So please keep that in mind when you guys are signing up for the regions. Those are the times that are going to be played. Firestreak, I'll hand it back over to you.
Sweet. So thank you for that, Fade. But during the Combine stream, we'll be using the CCG bot to make teams of 6 from the available players for the region to play in private matches. And that's going to kind of be how we determine the teams and who's playing against who for that Combine stream. Should keep things relatively even and keep things competitive for all the players to be able to show off their play styles and what they can bring to the table for the teams that they will hopefully be able to play on later. So managers will not be able to play in this stream. It's only going to be for normal players, because naturally managers don't need to they already know how they play. They know what they can bring to the table compared to the players that they may or may not draft. So we'll be streaming for 3 hours per day, getting in as many matches as we possibly can. That way we give everyone ample opportunity to be able to show what they have to offer. Participation is not required, but statistically speaking, you are more likely to get drafted if you do participate in it. So we do very much encourage it from all our players that are looking to be drafted. So at the end of each region's Combine stream, managers will have their pick for the order in which they will pick. Yeah. The exact order will be determined at random, but we'll go ahead and go on with the draft and get all that done then.
Yeah, and
I believe...
sorry, Firestreak. I did want to... I keep finding things where I could clarify a little bit better in my notes. When we do say players, just for everybody that's aware, we do mean people that signed up as players. We're not going to have free agents play in this stream. Actually, free agent signups will still probably be going on by the time we're doing this stream, so we probably won't have all the free agents to play in that anyway, but it's just going to be the players that have signed up as a player playing in these streams. And then, yeah, as you said, managers, we're going to put you all on a wheel. We're going to spin the wheel, just like we did last season, and that's going to determine the pick order for the draft. And Aerolax is going to tell us more about that one.
Yeah, so the Combine stream, very similar to last season. The draft that will happen afterward is also going to be very similar to last season as well. It will be the weekend after the Combine stream, which should give managers enough time to kind of just look over all of those games, see who they might want to possibly put onto their team. And for that weekend, we will do a drafting stream for the start of the league, where those teams will finally be put together and they can then start training together. So managers will be notified of the drafting budget before the Combine stream, which should give them ample time to analyze gameplay from players and make sure that the choices that they make would be able to fit within the budget. I don't think it is... Like, Fade, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't think it's guaranteed that the budget is going to be the same.
No, it is not. It's going to be dependent on what ranks we get for players that sign up, because we want to make sure that there's a balance where we still have a lot of the top players getting picked, but we also want to make sure that none of our lower ranked players get ignored. We want to make sure that they have just as equal of an opportunity to play in this league as some of the higher ranked players. So it will be based off of the amount of players that we have and what the rank distribution looks like.
Alright, thank you for the clarification. One big thing to also take note, especially if you want to be signing up as a manager, is that managers will need to be present at that stream to be allowed to pick their team. If they are not present at the start of the draft stream for their region, they will then have to pick their team from the remaining members of the draft at the end of the night, which means that even if you get drawn to be first pick, if you are not at the start of the stream, then you will not be able to pick until every other team has picked. So you want to be especially sure that if you are put on as a manager, you want to be there at that stream so you can have as much of an advantage as possible when picking players. The draft will be a snake style draft, which is very similar to last season, whereas as we went through the order of managers, which was just determined at random, the last manager to pick for their first player will then have first pick for their second player, and it will go backward through the lineup. And then for the third round of drafting, managers will be able to pick either from the remaining players who will still fit into the budget, or will also be able to pick themselves to be put on the team as long as the budget can accommodate for that. And if a manager finds themselves unable to choose a player near the end of the draft due to the budgeting restrictions, we will give them the option to either replace one of their higher costing members with an available player of a lower rank to give them enough budget to pick that third, or we can also give them a pick of a lower level free agent as well for any that have signed up that would fit that budget.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everything for the draft there.
Yeah, that's that basically, yeah. If you guys watched the draft last season, you do know that there were a couple of complications. One with the manager coming in late and getting to pick their squad, because we didn't really have a rule against that at that point. And we also want to just make sure that in case, depending on rank distribution, there should never be a problem with the draft. That is our number one priority, is that making a budget that'll work no matter what. So no manager should run into this problem. But say that you pick an SSL and you can only pick like a Diamond 2 after that, and then all the Diamond 2s and Diamond 1s got picked, and then you can't afford anybody. We do have rules in place now that are going to help us find you a teammate, so you don't have to just give up that pick if we don't have to have you do that. However, if it does get to the point where there's no one else that could literally be drafted out of free agents and stuff, you might just have to pivot to a different pick of a lower rank to kind of just raise your budget up a bit. But as I said, our main goal is to make sure you guys don't get put in that situation at all, which we will work very, very hard on. And for those who are asking if managers can still play, as Erlac said, third round, you'll be able to choose yourselves, which makes you budget a little bit more effectively in those first two rounds if you want to make sure that you're playing for your team. I know that that's a lot of what managers did last season, so I expect to see the same as that this season. Firestreak is drowning because Taka is literally making us hydrate half to death over here. But it's time to move on from the draft, because you guys know after the draft comes the good stuff. The matches that everybody's been waiting for. It's time to talk a little bit about league play, and there's quite a little bit to talk about here because we are updating some of the ways that we're doing things with league play this season. So, obviously, first things first is the moment the draft is finished. Like, I'm talking within the hour after the draft is finished and the stream has ended, you'll be able to go on to the NA and EU. We're going to have separate ones for each region, RFDL master sheets, and you'll be able to see the teams that were picked, the budget that was taken from them, and they'll all be in the stats page as you guys have seen throughout Season 0. So that will be the same. However, there's also a chance, and a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, But we do have someone who is in the chat right now who might be working on making RFDL into a better viewing experience for you guys in the form of a website. We do not have any details as of right now to go off on that. It may... we're hoping that it happens. There's no expectation for it to happen, but it would be really nice if it did. But we will still have those master sheets as the greatest resource for you guys to look up stats, look up schedule, look up anything you need to know about the league. Speaking of which, as Aerolax said earlier, we will be tracking some new stuff, including demos. We're going to have it almost fully automated, so we're going to be able to get it updated a lot faster after each stream ends with like game scores and statistics and everything that you might want to see right after these games have been done. So we're just hoping that we can make it look really clean for you guys, but just know that there will be 2 separate master sheets and you will be able to rely on those for all of the stats and schedules that you guys need. I guess I did say, or did I say who was doing it? I guess he doesn't mind. We all know Rex is the one doing the website stuff. So,
Let's go, Rex.
Hog's in the chat for him. Let's hope that he can pull through with that. I know designing a website is a lot of work for one person to do. So, he can take as much time as he needs on that. We'll have one eventually, whether it's season 1 or season 18. We'll have one. Anyway, guys, 2 weeks after the draft is finished, we will start our league play. 2 weeks will give you enough time to start talking with your team, get some scrims going, kind of figure out a little bit of your play style together, try to figure out some tactics, and then we start our league play. Schedules will be posted for league play, the entirety of it, within the first couple of days after the draft, if not the night of the draft. If not before that, because we'll know what teams are going to be in each region, and we'll be able to start making the matchups before the draft even starts. So by the time the draft even starts, you guys might already have the schedules for the entire league play at that point. So you guys take into consideration the dates that those games are going to be played, and you need to make sure that your team is available on particularly the Fridays, at the Fridays of the week of every Friday, basically. I'm sorry, my words are kind of getting to me a little. You want to make sure that your team is either available every Friday or within your league play schedule, because as I said, we're doing things a little bit different. Also, as we said, make sure that your team is available for the mid-season tournament, the playoffs, and the World Championship, because we do have specific rules about rosters during those parts of the tournament, and you need to make sure that your team is there for those, because those games in particular, for those 3 events, cannot be rescheduled. Those are played live, and you need to have your team available for both days. As you guys do know, as of last season, these are 2-day events that are going to be played for each region. So you need to make sure that the weekends that these are scheduled, which you will know well in advance, that your team has got time off work, doesn't have any plans getting in the way, and is there for the duration of that tournament, because these tournaments could mean a lot for your lives in the league. So now we'll talk about rescheduling. So last season, the way we did rescheduling is if you needed a match, what was supposed to happen is that both managers were supposed to come to me and talk about, say that we need a reschedule. We need to come up with a time throughout the week to do it, and then we'll get that scheduled and good. What we're doing this season is going to be a little bit different. However, the base is still the same. If a team needs a rescheduling, they need to come and talk to me along with the other manager for the team they're playing against. The difference between this season and last season is that we are only going to be doing pre-recorded games on Friday before the match would take place. So if you're in EU and you would play on that Sunday, you'd need to reschedule for that Friday. And same for the Saturday, you'd need to schedule for the Friday beforehand. And how that's going to work is that I am going to, every week in the league announcements channel in the Discord, I am going to post a big schedule. It's going to have 1 hour time frames for every hour on Friday, I think probably after like 10 a.m. and go all the way to midnight on Saturday, so we can get as many time slots as possible there. And what you'll do is you will talk to me, and you will talk to, and when I say you, I'm talking the team manager. We'll talk to me about rescheduling, and we'll talk to the other team's manager about rescheduling as well. The ideal situation is that both managers will come up with one of those time slots to take, and then you both will come to me saying, we want this time slot. Once I get the confirmation about that, I will go and change the schedule in the league announcements channel to put your team at that specific time slot, so no other team can take that time slot away for that week. It will also move you out of the live game section into that time slot. So if a team wants to reschedule their live game for like an earlier or a later match in that day, they will be able to take the spot that you just gave away by moving your game. Other than that, the worst case scenario for the managers, I would say, is if a manager does not talk to their other manager efficiently. As I said, the team that needs a rescheduling needs to go and talk to the opponent's team's manager first. If you do not get a response from that team's manager within 24 hours, you can screenshot that and send it to an official, and the official will give you, the manager, the executive right to choose whatever time slot you want for that game, and that will be the time that your game is played. We will get both teams know in the chat and in DMs if necessary that their time has been moved, and that other team is then going to have to figure out how they're going to show up for that match. And that is just a rule that's in place to denote good communication between managers. As we said, one of the many responsibilities, or few responsibilities I should say, that you have as a manager is to continue having good communication between you and other teams' managers. And this is just a way to facilitate that. So make sure if you get a text about needing to reschedule for a week, you get with your team, you figure out when you guys would be available to do that on the coming Friday, and you get back to that other manager as soon as possible, because if you don't do it within the time frame and they report it to us, we are going to let that manager choose the time that is best for them, instead of letting you both collaborate on a time that works best for both teams. And that's how it's going to be every single week. Once a new week starts, I will post a new schedule with all the live matches where they are supposed to be, and you guys can get with your next team to try and reschedule that match if you need to. And you guys, the big thing is, once you guys have a time, you have to come to either me, Aerolax, or Firestreak about the times that you're going to pick, and then they will come to me to tell me they want this time set. I've gotten confirmation from both teams, and then I will go and change that. Without that confirmation, or with the report that there's been no response from the other manager, I cannot change the time scheduled. So you guys need to make sure that if you're managers, you know the routes that you need to go to talk to and get all of this underway, so we can make this really smooth for everybody. As I've said, it'll only be allowed on the Friday. I've talked about rescheduling. Let's see, where am I at here? As I said, once a time does get changed, even if you guys came to the agreement together, I will notify both teams and both teams' managers that the time has been changed, just to make sure that there's good communication throughout the entire process, and so you guys don't accidentally misspeak and between one another, and we can get any sort of issues figured out right away, because I will let you guys know what the time has been changed to, and if there's any discrepancies, you can just come back to me and be like, oh, I thought we agreed on this time. Last thing to talk about when it comes to rescheduling is cancellations. If a team has something come up and they need to cancel the predetermined rescheduled time, they need to do it within 12 hours or before 12 hours of the match starting. So say that you planned on playing at like 5 p.m. on Friday, then you need to at least come to me and tell me, hey, we need to cancel and reschedule this for a different time before 5 a.m., which would be 12 hours before your match is played. If you come to me after that point, then we have to talk to the other manager either way, but we will give them the choice to let you reschedule that match that's so close or deny it. If they deny you rescheduling that match, you're going to have to try and find a sub, try and find a way to get your team on the field at the scheduled time, because we will not be able to reschedule that. And if your team cannot show up for that match, it will result in a forfeit, and I'm sure that no team wants to be forfeiting in the league with it being so easy to reschedule matches as it is. But we do know emergency situations do come up, so we are trying to accommodate that as much as possible, but we also have to accommodate both teams on each of these sides. So please, if you do have to reschedule or cancel a rescheduled match, it needs to be within 12 hours. And if it is not within, or if you do get it within 12 hours and both teams agree, you guys can just move back to your previously rescheduled live time. Unless somebody's taken it, then we'll just put you at the next available live spot. But let's see. Okay, that's everything about scheduling, guys. And I know we're talking a lot. And Heavenly has a question. Let's see. Just curious, if this was to happen, what if the confirmed time that both teams agreed on, then something happened? Oh, I already answered it, Heavenly. All right, thank you. That is the process going forward. But now we're going to talk about something else that necessarily wasn't a big problem in the league, but it was a problem for some players in particular, and that is going to be servers. And servers were a contested point in a couple of places here. As we know, US West players literally had EU servers that were unplayable for them. We're not talking 80 ping, we're not talking 120 ping, I'm talking 200 plus ping in every match that they were in. And that is not something that we really wanted for the league. We want to make sure that every player has at least a competitive enough edge to be able to participate, as playing a 2v3 is not very fair. So we are changing how servers are going to be working for this season. And obviously, that does go along with the separate regions. So, very simple server rules for the regions, guys, for league play. EU lobbies. Hold on. Bait your breath. It's going to be a huge announcement. You guys won't believe it. EU matches are going to be played on the EU servers. Not APAC, not OCE, not MENA. We're playing them on EU. Those are the only servers that are going to be available for EU league play. No other servers. So don't be asking about changing servers in the chat. We already have the server. It's going to be EU. During NA, we will have two different servers to be used. One of which will be the normal North American East server, and the other is going to be North American Central. The rule about that is that any match with a West player in it on the North American League is going to have their entire match played on US Central. Central is not necessarily a bad server. It had a lot of problems at the start, but they have made them a lot better. Most players can play on those with no problem now. Besides a couple of servers, which we always will hit the exception every so often, but we can do server remakes. But that is a huge one if you're a EU player considering playing in the NA League. If we allow you to do so, if you play against a West player, per league rules, that entire match is played on Central servers. Central is a lot farther away than the East servers are for you guys, so that puts you at way more of a competitive disadvantage if you are an EU player trying to hop on those NA ladders. So please be aware of that if you are either subbing as a free agent from EU on an NA match, or if you are going to be playing as an EU player in general. And I hope that does help out the West players of the league, because obviously we don't... They already get like 120 ping on even East servers at some points. So I feel like it is extremely fair to allow them to get those Central servers so they can play a more competitive match. As of that, that is the league play rules. Now we're going to talk about the World Championship servers, because that is when NA and EU finally clash at the end of the season, trying to find the best team. And the server situation last season was a little bit rough for the West players and the EU players a little bit when it came to a specific matchup where Central servers were picked. I'm not going to bring up names or anything, but you guys know what I'm talking about. To keep the competitive integrity as close as possible for all players, what we have decided is that if a team has a West player and a team has an EU player playing against each other, we will play the entire match on US East. That is the middle man between the servers. Most EU players, from our experience, have gotten like 80 to 90 ping on those servers, maybe 100. Meanwhile, West players are getting about the same ping. So we feel like it is best for everybody if we just play on those, because we cannot play them on Central servers, obviously, because the EU players could not compete at all. And we can't play them on EU servers because then the West players can't compete at all. And when you have the higher ranked West players being the backbone for your team on 200 ping, it's not going to work out. So EU versus North American West players will be EU or North American East servers. If we have... Oh, sorry?
One thing I think is important to clarify there is, I know you mentioned this earlier, but for double clarification, subs will not count towards that rule, correct?
That is correct. Subs will not be counting towards that rule. However, that's usually during league play, but that also does... it does not... subs will not count towards that during the World Championship. So make sure when you consider that when bringing a sub into your team. Along with that, if we are going to be playing only US East and Europe, that's when we go back to our original tried and true method of alternating servers. What we're going to do is, unlike last season when we had the lower seed pick the first match, which some teams found a little bit unfair when we were going into playoffs, we're just going to do it with a simple coin flip. We're just going to say the blue side is going to be heads, the orange side is going to be tails. We flip a coin. The winner of that gets to pick the first server. The deciding game of that match, if it gets to that, will go to the team with the highest goal differential, as before. So it'll be the same way as it worked the entirety of that last league play and playoffs and last season in entirety. If we do have just a NA or just an EU matchup, then we will default back to the league play rules for whatever regions are playing against each other. So, that is definitely something to consider when signing up for the league. Once again, are those league play rules, because just so you know, if you're an EU player trying to sign up for NA, and we allow you, if you have a good enough reason to do so, just know that if you play against West players, you're going to be playing on Central servers, and that's going to be a tough one. So please keep that into consideration, as well as subs. Because subs, if you're EU and you're playing on NA, then you're going to be playing, if you play against a West player, that's a Central server. If you're a West player and you're trying to sub for EU, then you're a West player trying to sub for EU. What are you doing? That's my question. But that is the server rule for this season. There will be no changes to it going forward. It is set in stone as all of these rules are. There will be no alteration of said rules. There will be no loopholes that can be used. What we are saying here is how it's going to be going. And along with that, we have Arilax back to talk a couple more rules, but not about servers. We're going to go back to the free agent talk. So Arilax, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So free agents are going to be run very similarly to how they were last season, barring a couple exceptions that will be covered here. So managers may replace a player on their current roster with a free agent at any time, as long as it is not within 24 hours of a match for their team starting. We did have a couple cases where free agents were brought on like just a couple hours before the match, which then made the production team they pretty much just had to scramble to get everything set up correctly, sometimes not even getting it in on time. So we just wanted to make extra sure that there is enough time to get everything set up and ready for the match day when it does happen. Managers, when they get a sub onto the team, must inform both league officials and the manager of the team they are playing against of those substitutions. So that means either notifying me, Fire, or Fade of a free agent being put on the team, and also the manager of the team that you will be playing against, just to make sure that they know and aren't like confused by it, really. Obviously, the free agent must still keep the team budget under the limit when adding that new player to the roster. That's the same as last season. Any team member being replaced will have their total added back to the budget for picking up a new player. So basically, what that means is for free agents, they can actually be brought in as a full-time member, but that means that the player who was on the team previously that is being dropped in favor of a different player, obviously that budget, like the cost of that player, is going to be taken out and then recalculated for the full team, and that player that was replaced is going to be then put in the pool of free agents, and the team that replaced that player will no longer be able to get them back on that team for the entire rest of the league. So that is very important to think about. For example, in the case of Rule No last season, I was put on the team replacing Bloop, so Bloop would not be able to get put back on the Rule No team for the entire rest of the season.
And that also includes if you're a sub. You cannot sub in a player that you have replaced. So if you replace a player, they will not play for your team again for the duration of the league.
Yeah. So to clarify on that, that basically just means they can't be brought on as a full-time member or even as a sub. So specifically when it comes to prizes in particular at the end of the season, only players who have played in more than 60% of the team's matches will be eligible for prizes. And that's just to make sure that that the players who are getting prizes have had a significant impact on how their team played. So like, for example, it wouldn't be fair if a team for the entirety of the league was just like running through the entire league, and then right on the last day for the playoffs, the entire team is replaced, which technically wouldn't work. So I'll rephrase it. If one player is replaced, then that one player wouldn't get the prize. It would be all the players who had significantly contributed to that team and their success. But going into that specifically, when the league is down to the last 2 weeks of league play, which would be the last 2 weeks before playoffs, managers will not be allowed to replace team members with free agents to stay on the main roster. They will still be able to bring in subs in case a player cannot make it, but once those last 2 weeks come in, the team that is on the roster at that point is going to be the team going into playoffs and going into Worlds. That cannot be replaced. And free agents will be able to sub in for a match at any time for a team as long as the budget of all 3 players on the team is still under the maximum amount budget. That is just very, very important to think about. And that is also part of the reason why we put it in there that there would be some players on standby from every major rank so that every team is able to.
Still here, Alex? Cut out.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
I did.
Yeah, it cut out right at the end, but I think that was it for free agents, if I'm remembering correctly. So now I guess we just move on to what happens after league play and what about these special events that are going on. So as you guys know, we're getting to the end here, by the way, guys, so stay with us a little bit longer. And then we've got a couple more announcements tonight, or a couple new things to show you and another announcement. So just stick with us and we'll get through this. But we do have, as we did last season, a couple of events that happen throughout league play that are going to make an impact. The first of which will be the mid-season tournament. We also have the playoffs, and new coming this season is the World Championship. Each region will have a separate weekend for their mid-season and playoff bracket. We'll probably just do the same way as we do league play. We'll do NA on one weekend, and then we'll wait a week, and then we'll do EU on the next weekend, which means each region will get that 1 week off of play, and then go straight back into it afterwards. If we would like to, we could show the brackets right now. Arilax, do you want to show everybody what the brackets are going to look like for this coming season, or do we want to just talk about it?
I mean, I'm absolutely down to show them. Why not?
All right, well, let's go ahead and show you guys things so you can stop looking at our faces for a little bit. Be like, oh, get these guys out of here. We've been watching them for like the last hour or so. Show us something interesting. So right here, guys, this is going to be the mid-season bracket. As you can see, this is if we have 8 teams per region, it's going to be an 8-team double elim bracket. Probably not something that you are not used to seeing. We've seen these before. We do not know the format of the mid-season tournament yet. It is more than likely that it is going to remain crew battles, so keep that in mind when thinking of potential people to put on your team. That we are probably going to be going back to a crew battle format for the mid-season tournament, which means a good ones player is always nice to have. A good duo is going to be nice to have, and you need to be able to coexist as a 3v3 squad. However, we might switch that up on you guys. You don't know what's necessarily coming, and we will let you guys know what the format is going to be before the draft, just to make sure that the managers have enough time to figure out exactly what that format's going to be and what it's going to look like for them when they draft a team. Because as we said last season, or as we did last season and as we did this season, the mid-season champions, the stakes have never been higher. They get a spot in the playoffs. It's as simple as that. You win mid-season, you get the wild card spot in the playoffs. That could either be as the 6th seed, or that could be as whatever seed that you get above that. But if you are ranked 7th or 8th in your league, you'll automatically take that 6th seed at the end of the season. So you want to make sure that you're doing well in that mid-season tournament, as well as you guys can do. We are not doing your gridiron tournament. I'm telling you that right now. And Yuki, I know you would love a drop shot tournament. You would love that. But if we did a tournament like that, it would be random game modes, and drop shot would be one of the choices. I'll tell you that one. Putting Yuki specifically in just a drop shot tournament, that's like giving them the trophy. We're not doing none of that. But we'll go ahead and talk about our regional brackets as well, as we are going back to the try and true format from last season. It's going to be a 6-team double elim bracket. You can see that seed 1 and 2 are going to get the bye. It's literally just going to be how it was for season 0. Those top 2 spots are going to mean so much going through league play. Meanwhile, seed 4 and 5 play, and seed 3 and 6, and we end up with a playoff champion. However, there is more at stake here than just a playoff title this season, because if you do get to the top 4 in your playoffs, if we have 8 teams per region, which we'll keep saying if, because we are hoping that we get enough players, but there's no guarantee. And if we don't get enough players, we'll talk about that later. We'll come up. We've got solutions for that in the works, guys. We don't have anything to announce right now, but just so you guys know, we do have ways to fall back on some different ideas. So these tournament brackets, not necessarily set in stone, but these are the ideal tournament brackets that we will be going for. However, as we said, if you get to top 4, which means showing up in either this game 3 or game 4, or getting to game 7 down here, you will earn a spot in the RFDL World Championship, which is going to be the exact same as we saw for the mid-season. However, seeds are a little bit different. You can see seed 1 plays from NA, plays seed 4 from EU, seed 2 plays seed 3, and it's the same thing, just on different sides of the bracket. So we're going to have regional different region matchups for all of the start of the World Championship. It's going to be a great time. We will talk about the prizes that every team in this World Championship will receive, because you will receive a couple of things for getting to this stage here soon. But this is going to be the bracket. It's just going to be another standard double elim bracket. It's going to take place over one weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to do it with you guys. This is what everybody is playing for right here. Being in one of these 8 spots, that is what this league is about right now. Your goal is to get to the World Championship with as high of a seed as possible. And then once you get there, you want to become an RLDF World Champion, the first team ever to be able to take that title. Cement yourself in history with the rest of your team. That is the goal for you guys. This is what everybody will be playing for throughout the entire season. But we do have a couple of rules to go over for specifically the playoffs and the World Championship that we do want to let you guys know about. This is in terms of rosters mainly.
Fade.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Before you move on, I do also just want to mention, specifically with the mid-season, the mid-season champions will have an immediate bye into the regional playoffs for their region.
Yep.
However, that doesn't mean that you can just lay back and forfeit every other match. You still need to be playing up to your potential, or else that prize will be revoked.
That is right, and thank you for saying that. If we do see that you guys clinch the playoff seed and then suddenly people aren't showing up for games, it's being very lackadaisical, we can tell that you're either throwing or not trying, we will, as admins, take that spot away. So you guys need to make sure that even if you're winning that, you need to still be playing at your best, because seed still matters in the playoffs. You still want as high of a seed as possible going into that to guarantee yourself a good matchup. So it's not like just getting into playoffs is your main goal. You definitely want to get a high seed in playoffs just to make sure that you get the best chance to get into that World Championship. And if you get the top 2 seeds, as we said, you get that bye in the first round, you're automatically in the World Championship. So those top 2 seeds are going to be so crucial to keep striving for. If you get the bye in, your job is not finished. So, just so you guys know, we will be watching for that. But, moving on to playoffs and the World Championship, we do have some rules about rosters specifically. And this is very important. And this is why you're going to need to make sure that your team knows the dates that these are being played and has them available. Don't make any plans. Make sure that your weekends are entirely free, because for these tournaments in specific, we hold a 2/3 roster rule for the team. That means, as we said, 2 weeks before league play ends, you are not allowed to replace any people on your squad. That is because during regionals and during the World Championship, you need to be able to field at least 2 of your 3 main squad during every single match. No exception. As you saw in playoffs a couple of weeks ago, we did allow a 2v3 to be played because we were just doing it for entertainment value. That's not going to be the case this season. If you cannot field 2 out of 3 of your main roster members, your team will receive a forfeit for the coming game. Which means that you're going to want to make sure that you have at least 2 people available from your squad at all times, preferably all 3. We do understand that some situations come up, but with it being so far in advance for you guys knowing the dates, we're hoping that you guys can schedule around that sufficiently enough. Also, let me see. Where am I at here? Teams are only going to be allowed 1 player sub out a day. So, we'll use Arilax as an example. This last season, we went through playoffs. He needed to leave to go to a event that he really didn't have any control over, which we deem as a valid excuse, or a valid reason to sub out a player. To sub out a player during these events, you are going to need a valid reason. You're going to need to have something that's not in your control. We don't want to hear, oh, so-and-so decided instead of playing in this tournament, they wanted to go out with friends instead, so we need to sub. That's not really a valid excuse. We're not going to accept that. If a player is just making plans during their important tournaments, that's kind of on them, especially when they know the dates so far in advance. So please don't be doing that if you are a player for a roster that is potentially going to make these tournaments. Also, once a player has subbed out, the only way that we will allow another substitution is if that said player comes back. So last season, the rule was once you get your sub in, that's it. You cannot change the roster anymore for the entire rest of the day, which meant that Arilax, who came back before his next match was supposed to be played, could not participate in that match, which put his team at a competitive disadvantage, and it did end up knocking them out of the tournament. We do want to alleviate that for this season. Therefore, if your subbed player can come back before their next match, they will be allowed to take back their place from the sub. However, that does not give you another substitution to use during that day. You still used your 1 substitution, and that's all you get. The rest of the day has to be played with the members on that squad. Once the day rolls over, once we go from Saturday into Sunday, then you'll get that substitution back in case something comes up. But once again, you only get the 1. So please be aware of that. And I will give you guys a little bit of a tip. As we saw with last season, I talked about this 2v3 happening before, but it was due to circumstances outside of their control. I will admit that. However, it is not a good idea to start your day with a sub on your squad, because we were not, it's very hard to, you're not able to sub out a different player from your roster at that point. You have to sub out the substitution, and that would count as your substitution for the day. So it really does not bode well for your team to start out with a sub on the day. That's just a little insider thing that I noticed from last season that I just want all of you guys to know about. It would be best for your team if you're playing with all 3 members at the start of the day, and if something happens, then you have that substitution to at least still be able to play. But if you're playing with a sub on your team, and then if something happens to your another player from your main squad, and you have to sub them out, technically you have to take the forfeit, because then you're not playing with 2/3 of your squad. So you want to avoid that at any chance that you can, because you still can't go over budget. Budget is still going to be a factor when it comes to any of these subs as well. They can't have two very high level players to play on a squad for you. So just remember that going into the playoffs. Let's see. We've talked about the top teams of the region playing in the regionals. As we've said, for that, if the winner of the mid-season tournament has still been trying, but they only get like 7th or 8th place, but we can tell that they still deserve that spot, then it'll only be the top 5 seeds, the 1st through 5th seeds, that will be moving on to that playoffs. So play the best game, guys, because it could come to a point where that 6th and 5th seed really do matter and at even getting into playoffs in the first place. Now we will talk about, as we said, top 4 teams from regionals will go to the World Championship, and that's where we get to talk about the stuff you guys have been waiting for this whole time, prizes, because what's a league without a couple of good prizes? Obviously, what we would like to do eventually, not necessarily this season, but eventually, is start having a cash prize for this league. That would be amazing to be able to do. It takes a lot of effort. It would take maybe some sponsorships, maybe a donation pool. We are not worried about that this season. This is still kind of a newer thing for us. We've only done the test season before. This is our first actual, like, real season doing this, so we don't want to focus on that too much. So what we are going to do is the same thing as last season. However, prizes are going to be harder to obtain. Last season, we gave Discord titles to the top seed of playoffs at the end of league play, and we also gave them to the league play, or the regional grand finalists and the winners. Those were the titles that were given out. Along with that, those three, or those guys in particular, also got special player cards that will be showcased this season during their matches. So if you're, say you're like Hammer, say you're Flock or Gala, say you're any of the iBuyFursuits roster, anybody from, I believe, Kitten Corp, and I think Firestreak actually made top 3 regional winners player cards as well. So if you're from one of those teams, you can choose, if you want, to have your new player card that the manager chooses for you, or you get the choice to choose the special card that we gave you at the end of the season to be used as your player card. So managers, just be aware that there might be some differences in some of the player cards if you're picking up that star player, but that's only because they're a really good player and they deserve that player card that was given to them. As for teams that will get prizes this season, it's actually going to be more teams, funny enough. 8 teams will be getting prizes this season. If you earn a spot in the World Championship, that is where you can obtain your first prize from the league. That is going to be a Discord title, and that is going to be a special player card that will be used during the World Championship. Specifically, if you want to know the name of the title that you will get the RFDL Season 1 Contender Tag to be used in the Discord server. So players that see you will know that you are one of the top 8 teams in the World Championship. As we said, you'll also get player cards along with that. So, production will look even better going into that. And Firestreak, I believe, is going to be making those special designed cards for the World Championship as well. Every team is going to get the same design on those ones. It's going to be one design for every team. we're not going to do a bunch of choices for that one. This is an elite one that you will get. And even if you don't place further than top 8 in this, in the World Tournament, or the World Championship, you'll still get those cards for the next season that you play as well. Also, if you hit top 4 in the World Championship, you'll get another title. You'll get the Season 1 Elite title. And I believe you'll also get special cards, as well as the Grand Finalists and the World Champions. You will get titles as well to commemorate that, and special player cards to also commemorate that, to be used in the next season. So lots of cards and titles to be played for, guys. And with that, I think what we're going to do real quick is move on to a short Q&A section. Airlax and Firestreak, if you guys would watch the chat real quick, I had to take care of something. But if you guys have any questions about anything we've talked about today, please say so in chat. Please make them legitimate questions so these guys can answer them to the best of their ability. And yeah, I will be right back, guys.
So yes, does anyone have any questions? Anything that they want cleared up?
See.
Oh, Fade's in mute.
Oh well.
NA production, guys. Static, that is a very good question and is a very reasonable thing to be asking about. But as stated in the Season 1 rulebook, which will be available to everyone, I don't want to misquote it. However, anything that is deemed against that's considered to be toxic, including quick chats, toxicity within the server or between people within the server, can be reported. I believe we are going to have a way for people to report that sort of behavior anonymously, and league officials take reserve the right to discipline those players as we see fit. So, I believe the terminology used is that they are to observe all rules in Section 7 of the rulebook, as well as the general principles of personal integrity, honesty, and good sportsmanship.
And Korab also asked a question of, does someone who wants to be a manager also have to sign up to be a player? No, they do not. Managers sign up on their own, separate from the players. But if they want to play, they can pick themselves in that third round of picking. NA production.
NA production.
It's fantastic.
We're getting... let's see... Yeah, Yuki, exactly what you said. That is 100% accurate. Corrupt?
Ooh.
That is a good question there.
That is a very good question.
Let me skim over that section again just to see if we have something on that. But if we don't, Yeah, I believe that's what it is that you would just get moved down to a player, barring you being a band player, which I believe we only have one, and I don't believe I've seen them in the stream today.
No way.
Um,
So I think what would happen in that case is if you sign up as a manager, but then all of the manager spots are taken, you would be moved down to player. However, I believe if both manager and player sections are fully filled up, then I think you'd have to be moved down to a free agent.
yeah, you'd either essentially get moved down to either player or free agent. I'm sure once Fades rejoins us, he can give some insight on that. Golden, currently we are planning for 8 managers in EU, 8 managers in NA. However, that is dependent on the number of players that sign up for each region. So that, for example, if we have, let's say, only 12 players sign up for either one of the regions, we will adjust the proportion of managers that we have for that region. But yes, going back to the question that Fades might have some insight with, how will we be handling a situation where somebody decides to sign up as a manager, but we are either filled or decide to not have them as a manager? Where will they then be placed? Will they be placed as a free agent or a player, or what will we do about that, Fades? Because I am not sure.
So I think it depends on the situation. Obviously, if we say, if we flat out deny you for being a manager, and it's something that you probably... Well, if we are flat out denying you as a manager, then there's obviously a reason behind that, and you should assume that you would be denied before even signing up, so you should sign up as a player. I would say that anybody that signs up as a manager after the cap, we will move down to just player status. That way that just gives the draft a little bit more to go off of for budget. It's, to be completely honest, we've thought about a lot of different situations, Corrupt, but that is not a situation that I actually thought about. Our main reason to do player signups before manager signups was to make sure that we have enough players available for the managers to actually be able to sign up and have like full squads. But yeah, I think what we'll do is if you sign up for a manager, but we've already gotten 8 managers at that point, then we will make you just a player, so you still have a chance of getting picked. Along with that, we are going to be closing submissions of signups whenever we do hit that level of like, if we have like 10 to 12 people sign up immediately to be a manager, we will cut off submissions right there. We will figure out if we're keeping at least 8 of them. If we are, then we will see what the other, we'll see what their intentions are. As we said, if we have managers that just want to manage a team, we might ask them to manage in a separate region if we don't have enough managers for that squad. But I assume most managers are going to want to play. So we will pick the top 8 best candidates for manager out of the 12 that we would have in that situation. And we would tell the other 4, I'm sorry, we can't make you a manager at this time. We are going to put you as a player in the draft instead, so you still have a chance to get picked. But we cannot make you into a manager at this point. But we will just we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. I'm hoping that that doesn't happen a lot, but I do know that there's a lot of support in NA for managers right now. So all I can say is when you know that manager signups are about to happen, which we will give people time, we will let people know in advance when manager signups are going to happen. Get in there, get those sheets filled out, get them submitted quick. Make sure you have everything you need if you're doing a custom team. That way you can get through your application as quick as possible. because we will be cutting off those when we find an influx of people signing up for managers. And that is also a good reason why, if you don't think you need to be managing a team, but you still want to play in the league, sign up as a player. Because if you don't want to have to go through all of the motions of a manager and you want to just be able to play Rocket League and have fun, you're going to get a really good chance of getting picked if you are one of those first 30 players that sign up. So I would say sign up for your region and just remember the rules that we talked about earlier, guys, especially with regions. I think that's just going to make things a lot easier. So Sharky's asking, I don't know if that's something you were going to say, Fire.
Yes, that is what I was going to
is there a
start on.
So is there a minimum set of teams to be able to start? As I feel like with the new system, there could be less teams. So minimum would be 4 teams, Sharky. Minimum would be the 4 teams in a region to start, which would be 4 managers plus 12 players. What we'd like to do, as we explained earlier, I'm not sure if you were here at the start, but we are not going to start manager signups until either the 20th of December hits, or we have 16 players signed up in each region, and then we will start manager signups. And if we can have 16 players sign up for each region, then we can do a max of 8 managers right there, because if every manager plans on playing, which most of them, I believe, except, the only person that didn't play last season was Ave. And he still had planned to play at the start. So if every manager plans on playing, along with the 16 players that sign up, that is just enough for 8 teams of 3. And that's why we assume more than 16 players are going to sign up, which helps with the draft. But that is why we are going to start manager signups as soon as there are 16 players per region signed up. That is how we're going to do that going forward. Yeah, you probably missed a bit of that, Sharky. I would say once we're done here, you might want to go back in the VOD, because there are a lot of things that we went over pertaining different rules about where to sign up and servers and regions and a bunch of stuff that you might need to know. Also, if you don't want to go through all that, the Season 1 rulebook is now in the RFDL category under the Rules tab. You can read up on that, and that'll give you all the information you need to know. Golden is asking, signups November 20th. When does League Play start? League Play does not have an official confirmed date, Golden. That is going to be whenever we finish with player signups, we finish with manager signups. Once we finish those 2 signups, which will probably be by end of the year, we'd say at most, probably like start of January, then we will come together and figure out whether we want to wait 1 week or 2 weeks for the Combine stream, which we might just wait 1 week, we might wait 2 weeks, and then we'll do the Combine stream. Then a week after that, we do the draft. And then 2 weeks after that, League Play starts. So expect League Play to start probably around the start of February. That's probably my best guess on when League Play is going to officially start. And this is a longer one, guys. We did 10 weeks of League Play last season. This season with 8 teams per region, if we do get up to that point, we're going to have 14 weeks, and that's not counting the mid-season tournament for each region taking a weekend, playoffs taking an extra 2 weeks for each region, and the World Championship taking a week. So we're going to be going for a while. So be prepared to play for a little bit if you guys are signing up for this league. Can you guys fill me in on any other questions that you answered?
I believe there was one. Rules on toxicity.
Right, rules on toxicity.
And I can just set like 0 tolerance for it, including quick chats, DMs between players and managers, and actual typing things out in chat. And that I believe we are having a way for people to report that sort of stuff anonymously directly to us.
Yeah. And as for Sharky asking, world champion of each region, or is that like the best teams? Again, something you might have missed, Sharky. Top 6 of each region go into a playoff bracket. The top 4 of those playoff brackets will top 4 of EU playoffs will meet the top 4 of NA in a double elimination world championship bracket. Once again, you can go back in the VOD, or you can read the rulebook for all the details on that, because servers have been changed on where we're playing servers and how we're going to make that work for cross-region type stuff now. So definitely something to look into. Aralax, you good over here? What's
What?
I don't know. I don't know if you've been able to talk a lot. I wondered if you wanted to talk or anything.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've been answering questions. I'm just trying to give my voice as much rest as possible.
Okay. Golden is asking, what is considered toxicity and what's considered friendly team banter? Toxicity, so I was talking about someone with this a while ago. And toxicity is it's very hard to kind of gauge what is toxic, what is not toxic, because something that's very toxic to you could be not as toxic to somebody else. Something that somebody may say as quote-unquote friendly banner might not be seen that way by everybody else. And so it's really going to be dependent on what gets reported. Honestly, in my valued opinion, or maybe it's valued, I don't know how you guys view me, but in my opinion, I would just refrain from, first off, do not spam quick chats. Quick chats is an easy way to get you reprimanded. It's an easy way to get reported and screenshotted, and as we said, zero tolerance. So the moment I hear about it, boom, you're getting a warning. If I hear about it again, boom, your team is losing a game. I hear about it one more time, your team is losing a match and you can't play in the next game. We are not going to be as soft as we were last season on people skirting around the rules. And so don't spam quick chats for any reason. Don't be saying anything that would be deemed rude or hurtful by anybody, whether it's in text chats, whether it's in personal DMs, whether it's in the league chats, and don't think that just because you're not somewhere that we can't see you, that you're safe from that, because we've also gotten reports of people talking on other people's streams and saying some toxic stuff. Maybe not necessarily thought to be toxic, but when it was reported to us, the admin saw it as toxic. And so just watch what you're saying if it has anything to do about the league. I would refrain from trash talk as much as possible. There's so much that, you know the people that you're playing against. Hopefully, like, a lot of these guys are mainstays of the server. I'm talking Sharky, I'm talking Joshi, I'm talking Taka.
That's the same person.
We've I meant to say Jay.
There you go.
So I mean Joshi, Jay, Taka, Yuki. These people are guys that you see talking in the chats every day. You can kind of figure out what they might think is offensive, what might not. Just side on the side of caution when you're thinking about saying something. Just if you think it would be something that would be deemed as toxic, just do everybody a favor and don't say it. And that's the easiest way to not deal with any toxicity problems while we're doing this league. It is a competitive league, but it is also supposed to be a fun experience for you guys in this server. We're not giving this out to everybody in any random Discord server. This was made exclusively for you guys to have fun during, and we just want it to be not toxic as possible, you know?
I think that what Viper said a minute ago is very applicable to all this. If you are needing to wonder if it's toxic or not, it's probably best to not say it.
Exactly.
So if you go by that rule, you'll 99.9% of the time you'll be fine. So just we're all friends. Let's try not to be down on each other.
Yeah, and I was just about to say something about that. Oh yeah, I will say something that we did not address is bans in the server, and this is something that is going to be very important if you want to continue joining events like these. First off, I will be transparent, there were calls for some bans in the server or in the league based off of interactions that some players had between each other last season. I personally decided that because it's a test season, there's a lot of things that were going wrong. We had problems from day one. And also we were like a little bit too lackadaisical, I will say, on a lot of the rules. And so I decided that everybody that was mentioned would get a little bit of a warning, which was done privately in their DMs. I've given them warnings. They know, hey, don't be doing this stuff again or you will get banned. As we've said, zero tolerance. The moment we see any of the admins here see any sort of toxicity, any sort of problems going on, we will be doing investigations and we will be handing out punishments rather quickly. Much unlike last season. And if you get banned from the league, you're not only getting banned from the league, you're getting banned for any sort of event that I run within this server in general. So if I run any tournaments, which might happen sooner than you guys might think, you will not be allowed to participate in those. You will not be allowed to participate in the community casted games that I do. There's just a lot that you will be blocked off of from this, so please just remember that when you're thinking about doing something that could be considered toxic, and just don't do it. Also, another quick way to get yourself banned, and this is for anybody that is a free agent, is if you decide to sub in for a game and then not show up on the live day when your game is and force the other team to forfeit. If you guys do that, you will be immediately kicked out of the league, kicked out of any sort of event that I host. You will be banned. And I will say there is one person in the server, I will not be giving names. If you guys watched the league last season, you might know who this person is. But I will not be name shaming or anything today. But I will say that is the only person right now who is banned from the league because they told a team they were going to sub in, and then on match day just was no show. No warning or anything. There was no reason for them not to show up. They just didn't. And yeah, they can no longer play in any events I hold or the league. So please keep in mind, if you commit to subbing in for a team, you better be there on match day. But I will say one more time, we've answered a lot of questions. Are there any more really big questions that you guys have for the admin team here today? We will answer a couple more if you guys have that. And if you don't, we will start wrapping up for the day. I'll give you guys a minute to type that out. But I will ask, while people are typing up questions, Firestreak, Airlax, how are you guys feeling so far? I think we've talked about everything pretty well. Are you guys excited for this league?
Absolutely.
Obviously.
I'm really excited for the league, and don't head out yet, guys. We still have some more fun things to showcase for next season coming here right at the end of streams. So be sure to stick around and join in on the excitement and hype that is building up.
Liska, I see your question. I can't tell if it's legitimate or not. Either way, no, we will not be moving to OC servers, even if every player agrees.
Oh man.
We are going to be sticking to the 3 servers that we are given. We want these guys. We want everybody to play a very nice, a very not laggy game of Rocket League. I know that you guys might want to do it for the lols, for the memes, or whatever, but at the same time, we are trying to make this a legitimate league. Maybe we do a tournament at some point where we're literally playing on, like, oh, it's EU versus EU. Okay, you're playing APAC servers. I don't know. We might come up with something like that. But what if every player is US West? Is it still Central servers? I believe at that case, I believe we would go to West. in that specific instance only, if there's one NA East player on that 6-man on those 2 teams, we go to Central. But if every player is West, it would be West. But as Bezic said, we do not have enough US West players to get to that, especially if we got them all on the same team. So that is just how it is. So okay, guys, any more questions? We got any more hard-hitting ones? Think. Give them another couple of seconds. Please, ask, like, serious questions. Don't, you know. As much as I love talking to you guys, how does manager signups work for teams? Yuki, so when you sign up as a manager, you will be asked if you want to make a custom team or if you want to use a pre-made team. Once you answer that, you'll be taken to a section determined on your answer. And if you pick pre-made, it'll ask you what 2 teams you would rather get. Or like what pre-made teams you would rather manage for. One would be, your top one would be like your top choice. And then if that choice was taken, which one would you take if that one was gone? If you're in a custom one, then it will take you to a custom team section where you put in all the info for your custom team, including the logo and everything that I said is required of you guys before you guys finish your signups. Let's see. So that's how manager signups will work for teams. And Yuki, yes, it is first come, first serve. However, there are so many team choices. I very much doubt that someone is going to take the teams that you want.
And of course, to reiterate, if you sign up as a manager but don't want to play, you can be a manager for either EU or NA.
Yes, that is correct. Let's see. Vibing asked, who gets primary color choice for the match lobby if 2 teams have the same primary color? And will there be an option for the second team that doesn't get their primary choice to use their secondary? So yes, we will allow that. What we're going to probably do is we'll probably say that blue side, the side that would originally be blue, will get the color choice, whether they pick secondary or main. And if they want to pick secondary, they can. That is why we are having you pick out a secondary color and a main color if you use a custom team. Of course, all the pre-made teams already will come with secondary colors as well as primary, so you won't have to worry about that. But we will probably put it to blue side getting the choice. And what we will do, unlike last season, was we had teams show up on the same side of the roster each time. We'll be flipping those this time. Just to make sure technically every single matchup is possible. So if you didn't get that choice during your first match against said team, you'll get that choice against them the second time you play. If you're not able to show up on the day of manager signups for some unforeseen scheduling issues, will I be forced to wait to sign up, or will it be possible to sign up early? So we will be saying, we are telling people to sign up at the same time, Yuki. It's literally just a form. You don't have to come to us to say anything. But what we're gonna do is we will let everybody know well in advance when manager signups are to happen, so they can happen at a good time for everybody, and so everybody can plan ahead. I know that there are a lot of people wanting to sign up as managers, but I don't think there's as many as people might think, especially when you have to split it between 2 regions. So I don't think that spots are going to fill up as quickly as people think. You'll need to know like a week in advance. There will be you will know at least a week in advance. You do not worry about that. Shirky, is there insight to player cards? What do you mean insight? I just need some clarification on that. Cookie Cat, I'm not answering that question. That is on you. Yes, Rex, I did tell everybody when sign-ups start. We do know what that looks like, Sharky. Actually, we did have a spot on that earlier in the VOD where we showed multiple player card styles that the managers will get to choose for every team. However, you in particular, because you were in a top 2 team in playoffs last season, you will get to choose if you want to choose the player card that your manager would pick, unless you are the manager, or you can choose that second place playoffs card that we've made for you, which has not been revealed. But we will show you guys that before you have to make that decision. Oh, Rex, I see what you're doing. It is really hard to remember when we're supposed to have signups. But everybody, if you go ahead and check out that little link that Rex posted there in the chat, you will see that we have a little bit of a countdown going for player signups. Now, this is specifically player signups, guys. This is not going to be manager signups or anything, but this will be the countdown. So if you guys are waiting to sign up as a player, that is what you're going to be looking at. We might be able to update this later on for when we do have manager signups, as we will let you know. So, RIP, Sharky has ads. I mean, we have been going for 2.5 hours, and I haven't done any ad breaks, so that's fine. I will wait till Sharky's back to finish this, because I want him to see everything else.
Yeah, he's already missed enough.
He has missed enough, that's true. Apparently, according to Cookie Cat, that website needs configuration. Rex, you could get to work on that. But thank you very much for getting that done. Does anybody else have any more questions, guys? I'm just gonna... Oh, it goes to something for me, guys. I don't know,
It goes something for me too.
Yeah, it's working for me, guys. I don't know what's going on with you guys.
Maybe it's a browser thing. Potentially try a different browser.
Yeah, it could be a different browser. I'm on Firefox. That's why it's...
Same. Best browser.
The Fire Streak using a Firefox browser. Couldn't see that happen.
I'm very surprised.
Yeah, but... Hey, guys, last call. Any more questions for us today? I think we've explained basically everything as well as we can. And we've only got a little bit more to talk about after this Q&A section.
I have not seen anything come up in this last minute or so.
Yeah, I do not. I'm not seeing anything. So guys, it's time for our last announcements of the day. And funny enough, this announcement doesn't actually have to do with RFDL at all. And I would like to announce, guys, that yes, there is still a wait for the start of League play. But that does not mean that the fun has to end. Obviously, we will be bringing back CCGs. In fact, I believe next Saturday we are going to run a community casted game. But that is not actually what I'm looking to announce, guys. I am here to announce to you guys the next tournament in the RFDL, or the ARLF tournament saga, RLF as we call it. This time, guys, it's a bit of a strange one. I'd like to announce the RLF Rumble map Rumble. Now, don't let the name fool you. There's no Rumble in this tournament. All you Rumble haters can breathe a sigh of relief. But what this is going to be is going to be a 8-team 2v2 tournament where the only maps that can be played are Rocket Lab maps. And not only that, but we are implementing a pick and ban system for this tournament. So every team is going to be able to ban 4 maps from the rotation every single match. And then we will be doing picks and bans on that to choose what maps are being played and when. It's going to be extremely exciting. Once again, Discord titles and a sticker of the team's logo for the winners. of the tournament will be the prizes, as we did with the 2v2 clash last time. But signups are open as of right now. It's going to be, you guys make your own teams. They can be whatever teams you want. If you want 2 GC3s on a team, go ahead and do it. If you want to sign up as 2 diamonds, just know that there's probably going to be a team of 2 GC3s that are going to look to stomp you coming into this one. It's going to be very fun, very interesting. DM me to sign up with team names and with RL tracker links, as we've done for all of our previous tournaments. If you'd like all of the rules for that, you can go to the Aerial RL First tournament section of the Discord server, where the rules have been officially just released, so you guys know what you need to DM me with to sign up. I will say that this tournament is going to be held the 7th and 8th of December this year. It's going to basically mark a year since the RLF Open, which was our first official tournament here in the server. So I think that's a best time than any to get another tournament running, and it'll give you guys a little bit more content going into the end of the year while you're all patiently waiting for these signups to finish. So I hope you all look forward to that. And to end this, guys, we're going to go ahead and show you guys one more video. And this one is a very exciting video. I'm very excited for this one. Docky and Firestreak worked a lot on this. According to Firestreak, mainly Docky. But,
Mostly Docky.
before we start that video, I will say that this is going to be it for us here on the desk for our podcast. And we will show the teams again when closing of stream. Do not worry about that, Yuki. That way Sharky can catch up on that. But Aerolax, Firestreak, any last words for these guys going into season 1 of RFDL?
It's going to be a great season. Let's go.
Yeah, Will. Woo!
Anything else?
I'm excited.
Yes, much excited.
Corrupt, you are correct.
Very
All
much
the
excited.
available old teams are still going to be available. We just have a lot of new ones to pick too. And then, okay, well, that's it, guys. So, from me and the rest of the desk, thank you guys for sitting here. Once again, the rules are up. The rule book is up in the rules section of RFDL in the server. Also, you can watch this VOD back for anything that you might have missed. We did go over a lot today, so please, if you guys know people who were not here who want to participate in the league, link them the rule book, link them to the VOD, tell them to watch it over, because we went over a lot and we want to make sure that every player that's participating knows what they're getting into at the start of this. Guys, we got 2 regions. We've got a lot of Rocket League to be played here soon. We've got 17 to 18 weeks of League coming at you guys at the start of next year. And you know what? I think that every league needs a really nice intro to start off the day. And you know what? Firestreak and Docky worked really hard on this one. So guys, you all have a nice night, and please enjoy the RLDF intro for the season.
RFDL.
I said RFDL, I think.
No, you didn't.
An introduction. Bye, guys.
You wanna know my feelings every time I look in your eyes. Baby, I can feel your energy, it's making me realize everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, you and I.
tabletop.